Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spurs Up. I'm Jack Taylor.
And I'm Matt Pumbaka.
And we're here to bring you another Gamecock rundown segment. And starting off, we're going to talk about Gamecock Baseball. Tell us what happened, Pumbaka.
Yes, the baseball team lost to the Citadel at home on Tuesday night, and they came in the top of the ninth where the Citadel got an extra run to win the game 4-3. It was a tough loss for the Gamecocks, but heading into the weekend series against Georgia, there is some hope. On Friday night, our starter, Adam Hill, will be out with shoulder tendonitis. Freshman Jonathan Gilreath will be pitching, and hopefully the Gamecocks get a win against the SEC Georgia Bulldogs.
Unfortunately, it's their first all-away series of the season, and it's their second series against an SEC team. Their only other series coming against Florida, where they went 1-2. So it'll be interesting to see how the Gamecocks do with no home games in a series. They haven't really seen that yet, and don't do too well on the road. So it'll be interesting to see how they get through that. Only bright spot from that Citadel game is that Carlos Cortez is swinging at full speed, at top tier. He's got a hot bat heading into the weekend series. He hit his 16th home run of his career, and he went 2 for 3 with 2 runs and the only home run of the game.
Yeah, hopefully Cortez keeps swinging that hot bat going into the weekend series. I know the Gamecocks have been playing pretty much at home the entire season so far, and every single time that they play a tough team, it seems like they only get up winning only one of those games of the 3-game series, and hopefully they could get a couple wins on the road this weekend.
Gamecocks are 1-4 when it comes to one-run games, so they don't have a huge clutch factor this season, but hopefully, I think this is a big series for them. It'll be something that maybe could put them over the edge. I know they are missing Adam Hill, and that's going to hurt, but it is I think a really good game for the Gamecocks to kind of burst through, because they've been stuck on this fence of not being ranked, maybe being ranked, not being able to push one way or the other.
Borderline ranked team this season. Hopefully they have a solid weekend in Georgia and maybe just get solidified in the top 25. Moving on to basketball, the Gamecocks are headed to the Sweet 16 after a win over Virginia. It was a 10-point victory where Asia Wilson had 25 points and 11 rebounds. They will be facing off against the 11th seed Buffalo at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Jack, tell us more about that matchup.
Well, it's a weird time game for a tournament, but last year, around this time, they were playing a similar type of team. It was the number 12 Quinnipiac team.
Quinnipiac?
Yep. Excuse me.
And they blew them out.
They did. It was 100-58 by the end of the game. However, with the way they played against UVA and with the score margin the way it was, because UVA is only number 10.
Yeah.
So they're only a ranking above, 1 point above. And so I think that if there's ever a trap game for the Gamecocks, this is it. It took everything Asia had to bring them over the hump, because it was very close up until the fourth quarter. And so I think that if she can power through and play the way that she does, they should be fine. But I'm not going to say the Gamecocks are worse than they were last year. I don't think that they're better than they were. So, like I said, with the fact that they most likely will be playing UConn after this if they win, and barring some unforeseen Mississippi State-like game that UConn has, they most likely will be playing UConn to try to get to the Final Four, and I think that might just be lingering in the back of their mind.
Yeah, this is definitely a potential trap game for the Gamecocks. The Buffalo team is very solid. They're 29-5 going into this game, and they beat South Florida and Florida State to get to the Sweet 16 matchup. It's going to be a great game at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. It's a strange time. Hopefully the Gamecocks wake up and are ready to play, and if they do win, they will be facing against the UConn Huskies.
Most likely.
Most likely.
And to finish off, we're going to talk about football, as the Gamecocks had their pro day this past Tuesday, where 12 guys got the chance to work out and show their stuff to NFL scouts and coaches. Players like Hayden Hurst and Sky Moore got to try to solidify their position in the draft and their ability to be in the NFL. And they were able to, and even other players that didn't get invited to the Combine got to show their stuff to coaches and scouts. And you were in attendance.
Yes, I was there, as well as all 32 NFL teams. There were scouts from each team in the NFL represented at the South Carolina Pro Day, and there was only one head coach in attendance. It was Bill Belichick. It was awesome to see him in the building. He was there looking at tight end Hayden Hurst, who was the standout of the Pro Day. He's a potential first-round pick, and he made an awesome one-handed grab right in front of all the scouts. It was pretty cool to see.
That's a great moment to have, especially when you're trying to push yourself forward in this draft, and I think that is significant that Bill Belichick was there in person. I know he does do that a lot of times, but I think it shows that his interest in Hayden Hurst is legitimate, and he's going to try to pick him up as soon as he can. Unfortunately, there are a good amount of teams in front of him that are looking for tight ends. I know that Jacksonville was looking for some, the Panthers looking for a backup, even teams like the Bears or the Vikings were looking for some sort of backup and tight ends. So maybe they might trade up, might not. They might just let him go, or maybe even he might fall to the second round. But I think with his performance at the pro day, that he has solidified himself as a first-round pick.
Yeah, and you got to look at the pro day almost like a job interview for these guys. And I think that all of the 12 Gamecocks that worked out did a great job, and they really showed their talents, what they could do on a football field, and proved their talent to these NFL scouts. One guy that I thought had a great workout and was not invited to the combine was Chris Lamons. He had an amazing workout. Scouts were actually in awe of how fast he ran, and they were ready to running up to him right after he worked out. It was really cool to see.
Another guy that has kind of lingered in his draft spot, you look at mock drafts, he doesn't really show up, is Taylor Stallworth. Talk about his performance in the combine, and if you think that might have boosted his value a bit.
Yeah, Taylor Stallworth is a great player, and you see it more on film than you do in a workout, but he can really clog some holes. He can get after the quarterback. He's a great defensive lineman. He's big, he's strong, and he can play. So guys look at that, and scouts see that as well. And I do think that Taylor Stallworth can definitely help an NFL team. Hopefully he does get drafted in the back end of the draft, and can definitely help an NFL roster.
Well, it's also awesome to see Gamecock players perform well in front of all these scouts and even legends like Bill Belichick. That's just such a cool thing to see, especially with the Gamecock program building as it is. Well, that's all for us here in the studio. I'm Jack Taylor.
And I'm Matt Mbaka.
And join us next week where we'll be talking to Josh Kendall. He's a South Carolina State beat writer for the Gamecocks. And he will be talking to us about the Gamecock team before their spring game. And it'll be a little bit of preview and analysis. But until next time,
Spurs up.